What's up, you guys? It's been a while. Just wanted to share something that was on my mind as I was driving. Well, I have a lot on my mind, but I wanted to get this one thing on camera, and I may or may not post it, but I was thinking about the simulation theory, and the thought that came to me is, it's just another way to disrespect and dishonor and ignore the beautiful planetary being that we live on and that we live because of, who sustains life and makes this experience, whatever you want to categorize this experience as. She is a living, breathing mother of all life, and to imply that she is not real, it's just another fuck you to the feminine, and there's layers to the simulation theory, like I can see how, if we want to talk computer terminology, because our brains are such quantum computers, yes, they can be programmed in this reality. They can be conditioned to think in certain thought patterns that then create certain actions and behaviors and feelings. All of that I can get on board with. But you can't tell me when I come inside from my garden and I have dirt under my fingernails, or when I've got white sand between my toes from walking on the beach and feeling the ocean waves, on my ankles, and collecting seashells from little critters who have, abandoned their exoskeletons. And when I look at a flower that I've planted from seed and I see the first little buds come up and there's actual life force pulsating through that none of this is real. And it's just like yet another attempt to disconnect us, to disassociate us from our bodies, from our earth, from each other, which I've really been wanting to talk about lately. So we just have to be careful, like in this age of information, I really see the biggest tragedy being this loss of heart, this loss of connection, this loss of groundedness, of all things true and organic. It's like, and I don't mean organic like going to Whole Foods. I mean organic like life and death and the things that make us human, that separate us from computers, from robots. The tears and the fears and the sorrows and the joys, and there's just this growing integration with all things unnatural. And the effects are devastating to human relationships, devastating to the human spirit, to the human heart, devastating to our ecosystem and our natural world, and our evolution as a species. Like we are potentially at the edge of being like the last humans that remember a world where there was no technology, or the technology wasn't such a part of our daily lives. And believe me, I have a phone addiction, just like most people I think in the world, and I try to be cognizant of it and do things to balance it out. But it's gonna take us coming together, like physically coming together in community, in groups, not online, like actual meetups, actual, brainstorming times together where we're hanging out and we're fellowshipping and we're relaxing and we're hugging, and giving that human touch and like the human connection, because it's slipping away, you guys. It's totally slipping away. And yes, online communities have been great for bringing people a sense that there's others like them out there. That's been a very big benefit, like, oh, there's other people that are interested in the stars. There's other people that are interested in, pick a category, and you can find your little online group. But it's like, how many of those people are still going to sleep at night feeling so alone? And I don't mean because they're not in a relationship, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just alone. There's a deep ache. There's a deep ache in humanity, and I can feel it. And I can feel it within myself, of just longing for human interaction again, and like, I am very blessed that I have that. I still have, friends that are here in my town where I live that I can call and I can see and I can give a hug and I can talk with. But so many people don't have that, and so many people feel isolated. And then you add to it this notion in the spiritual community, which I'm really hesitant to even call it that anymore, because I'm just witnessing so many things that have nothing to do with connecting the spirit that runs through all of us. It's still that divide and conquer, and we're ascending and you're not. It's just the same as we're gonna get raptured and you're not, or pick a religion, and it's like, if you don't do these things, you're bad and we're good, heaven and hell, all this duality thinking. And it's like, when are we going to evolve past that? When are we going to see that we all share some universal experiences of being human, some internal experiences of being human that transcend any religion, any ideology, any group, anything? I forgot how I started that little thread of thought. Dang it. It was about the spiritual community. I don't know. But also, okay, I know one thing I was thinking about yesterday is like, organized religion has done a lot of damage, yes. What they got right was the benefit of gathering together in honor and, respect to a higher power, with people who are exchanging, energy and love, and coming together for a common purpose in person. Like, there is something so needed right now with eye contact, with touch, with energy exchanged in that way, not just with the voice, not just with the spells that are being cast in all categories across the board by charismatic people who are able to, use word magic. It's like, that's one of the biggest things that I've had to continually take the blinders off. The words sound great. Now, where is the action? What does your actual life look like? What do your relationships look like? How do you treat people in your immediate environment, in your family, in your community? Where is the love? If we aren't measuring things by the amount of love that we are adding to this world in any way, including or starting with how well we're taking care of ourselves, how well we're loving ourselves. But if we're measuring things only by reach and analytics and numbers and this and that on YouTube and totally disconnected from the heart, then we're really not doing anything. Sure, we may drop a one-liner here or there or share a nugget of wisdom, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if everybody's only doing that and we're not actually coming together to hear each other's experiences, to feel and share in the pain and the suffering that others have gone through, and giving comfort and giving encouragement and giving love where there is no love, then what are we really doing? What are we really doing? I had this realization the other day that literally every single problem, I believe this, every single problem in society has a root cause. And the root cause is that there is an unloved person, an unloved group, there's a absence of love as the seed that creates systems, that creates policies, that creates things in this world that are harmful, that are divisive, that are moving us further and further and further away from a better world. That seed of, unlovable, unworthy, need to prove something, need to do whatever. That is that tiny seed, whether it was planted in childhood or through a first bad experience or bad relationship or whatever it is, an encounter that was so evil and terrible and you felt like God abandoned you. Whatever planted that seed, it's like that root cause of everything wrong with this world. And so if we're not counterbalancing that with love, and not love that needs to be seen or advertised or have a following or anything, love that is in the body, that is walking, feet on the ground, boots on the ground, and making tiny, tiny little deposits of love throughout whatever part of this planet you're walking on. Giving love to the animals, giving love to the nature, giving love to the I would rather go hang out with the panhandlers that sit right there in that corner than go sit in a spiritual retreat. Any day of the week. Any day of the week. Hands down. Give me real. Give me people who have overcome horrific things, who are still battling horrific things. Let me hang out with you guys rather than go pay $10,000 to sit in meditation and raise my vibration and shun anybody who might lower my vibration. Oh, you low vibe 3D people, I can't talk to you because I'm in my bubble of 5D, and you lowly people might affect my ascension. I may not be able to escape from you if you come near me and mess up my vibe. Whoo! Guess what, guys? I'm 46 and I've lived my whole life with a shield, but that shield was my love, my willingness to look people in the eye and give them the dignity and restore their feeling that they are worthy of being treated with humanness and equality, and not stepped on and walked over and looked over and shunned from society. You know, it was never hard for me to get on board with Jesus's teachings, because that's how I naturally gravitate towards that. I want to bring love where there is no love. I don't want to bring love where people are talking about love and not showing love, not being love. And they're talking about escaping this place and how horrible humans are and this and that. And it's like, no. No. That is the part that makes me want to give love to you and you and you that are saying that, because I got cut off. So clearly there's an unloved part inside you that needs love. Love is literally the only thing that's going to turn this around. It's the only thing. And like, I've had to pull away for a while, because you know, I've had to face that the way I love doesn't really translate necessarily to one-on-one relationships all the time, because I'm still learning how to love without expectation when it comes to romantic partnerships or romantic interest and that sort of thing. And over, you know, I've been in this cycle of sort of like romantic obsession, limerence type stuff, and then the shame from that, the shame cycle from that, when reality sets in, makes me want to pull away from any sort of expression, creative expression. You'll see these gaps in my channel, you know, and every time it's like, because I have to pull myself back up out of it really sucks in a way too when you know your astrology. Like, this is the shadow of my 8th house Venus. This is the shadow, this is the lesson of my Pluto in the 5th house in Libra. You know, partnerships, my soul evolution is in not letting partnerships, romantic, you know, flings, that sort of thing, all the 5th house themes get in the way of my own things that I'm birthing, my own creations, my own creativity, being able to have fun, you know, in the world, all the 5th house things. And the Libra brings in the partnership with others. And then the 8th house Venus, you know, shadow is like the obsession, and it can be like the, you know, on the extreme end, obviously, like the femme fatale. I don't identify with that, but like, I can see how unchecked, or if I didn't have the awareness that that 8th house Venus is a part of the archetype that I'm working with, then I could see how it would get to that, you know? What was the point of all that? So the point being, yeah, just wanting to find a way and a place and a platform, or just screw all of that and just focus back on my community and like my immediate sphere of influence, you know, where I can actually do stuff. You know, that's the other thing that I've been doing in the past like month or two since I've been off YouTube, is like reminding myself, if all this went away, if the internet went away for a while and everything, do I know my neighbors' names? Do I know the resources in the community? Do I know where I could be of service in my community, in my neighborhood, in my, you know, children's school, like with the people that I have actual contact with if all of this internet stuff goes away. I'm not wishing for that. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but like, we need to think about these things. Like, are we isolating with our computers and our online communities to the point, not only isolating, but actually like fearing the 3D people, or like the normies, or like, oh, like we have to stay far away. It's no different than like the lepers in the biblical times. You know, we have to stay away from them. We don't want to get infected. And it's like, oh, we don't want to get it's just got a new face. We don't want to get infected by the 3D people. We don't want to get infected by the Matrix people. And it's like, that's all fear. That's all fear. Joe Schmo down at the Buffalo Wild Wings may give you an aha moment unlike anyone you've received in 3 years of watching spiritual YouTube videos. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to get back to like being open to seeing everything as spiritual. Everything is part of this experience of us being in a human body, as a soul, as a spirit. And stop judging and categorizing everything. It's no different than religion. This whole New Age thing, in many ways, is no different or better than religion. We haven't had crusades yet. We haven't killed people yet. But in a way, are we? You know, by excluding, by looking down upon, by judging, all the things we complained about when we left religion. And we're doing the same thing, you know? I mean, I try to be very, 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 very conscious of it and not do that, you know? But I would say overall, is that being spoken about? Like, are we making an effort as a supposedly higher consciousness community? Or are we wanting to just stay insulated in these bubbles of like fantasy land of like, we're ascending and we're just gonna leave these other idiots here to do whatever? It's like, no, I mean, I'm not on board with that. I'm just not. I didn't come here to escape here and leave people who, okay, here's a perfect example. I raised my hand in Sunday school when I was little. This is how I knew I wasn't a Christian, but that I loved and adored and followed in the way that, you know, Jesus, and I still say Jesus because I know the energy that I'm connecting with. I do understand there's power in names, and I do understand the deception of the church and all that, but for me it sounds fake for me to call him something else. So that's what I'm going to call him. But I raised my hand and I said, because we were learning about, you know, if you don't basically confess that Christ is your Lord and Savior and that he died for your sins, and resurrected on the third day, that, you know, that is your ticket to heaven. Okay. So I raised my hand, and innocently, as a child does, I said, so you're telling me that a mom in an African tribe who has literally never seen a Bible, doesn't know Jesus, doesn't know his teachings, his story, nothing, that she's going to live her whole life in her village doing the things she does to take care of her children and her community, and she's going to burn in hell? And I think I was in like 5th grade, and I'm sure I didn't say it, you know, exactly that that way, but no answer. The adult could not answer. Okay, I ran out of storage, so it cut off again, so I'm going to finish this up quick. But basically, the Sunday school teacher could not answer me because there is no answer, because that's not the truth. And what I see over and over and over in these thumbnails, I don't click on them, but is like playing on that same fear of getting left behind, or going to the bad place, or like getting trapped in the matrix, or this or that. And my question is, so you're telling me that, you know, Kathy Sue over there that's homeless and lives by the bush and who doesn't know anything about ascending or raising vibration or the Matrix, that she is shit out of luck and she is doomed to suffer because, you know, you came across the information to raise your vibration and you're getting the hell out of here, and screw all these other people who don't even have the information that you have or that you think you have that's truth. And oh well, sucks to be them. Just like sucks to be that person in Africa that's never heard of Jesus. Oh well, I guess they're going to hell. Bye. We're getting raptured. Like, no. 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 I'll go down with the ship before I abandon people who who aren't even exposed to this little bubble of spirituality that a lot of us have found ourselves in. I don't even know how I found myself here. That's the crazy thing. Oh, I do actually, because it was like I was on this track of getting back into astrology and learning astrology, and then had this like twin flame catalyst experience that made me even look into what that experience was, and that's how I found the twin flame stuff. That led me to tarot land, and I've been in a fucking hell loop ever since. I am breaking free slowly but surely, but like there are souls trapped right now in tarot land. Literally. Because I was one of them, you know? And that pull and that draw of like, for me, it's almost like, well, I've gone this far. Let me just see if something's gonna actually happen. It's almost like a brain like not wanting to accept, like, whoa, I've spent a lot of my time and energy into a lot of deception and lies. Like, that's hard to admit, you know. I guess I'm admitting it right now. And maybe that's part of the, like, when I pull back, it's because I'm like trying to bring some resolution into my heart of like, okay, what's my why? Why do I share videos? Why do I want to speak on certain things? Like, what is my motivation? Is this the most effective use of my love and my time and my energy as far as doing what I want to do in this world, which is to actually love people, to love the unloved, to, you know, bring light and awareness to where there is darkness and ignorance, but in a loving way, not in a freaking judgmental way, not in the whole thing about being left behind. I can speak to that because that is a core soul pain wound that I carry. I do believe it goes back to Atlantis, possibly other times, but I mean, back to the original separation from heaven, from source, like, of feeling left, feeling abandoned. And the last thing I ever want to do is to create that sort of fear. You know, am I saying that people haven't felt left behind or abandoned by me? Absolutely not. I'm sure they have. There have been many times in my life where I have had to remove myself from people and places for what felt like at the time, like self-preservation, what felt like complete, you know, mental burnout, emotional, just overwhelm, you know, a lot of things from like undiagnosed, probably untreated, undiagnosed, some falling somewhere on the autism spectrum and getting extremely overstimulated, you know, and then just like completely shutting down, complete shutdown. Okay, clearly I have to clean up my iPhone storage, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. coming out of a lot of Neptunian delusion and illusion. I have a whole planetary parade and party natally in Pisces. In the past 14 years, I have gotten lost several times, and just coming out of another one of those times of delusion and illusion and fantasy and ungroundedness. So I'm not going to sit here and make any promises about content. I don't even know the direction that I want to go in life, period, much less with this channel. I'm not going to lie. But this is the kind of stuff I'm passionate about. Bringing people together, talking about real, actual issues. You know, not to say that the unseen realm is not real, not to say that energetics and energy is not real. It's very real. And what are we, okay, it's real, but if we're not using that knowledge to uplift other humans and to bring people from a state of despair and loneliness and isolation into a sense of belonging and community and having meaning and purpose in life, then what the fuck, excuse my language, are we doing? Besides boosting ourselves up or giving ourselves, you know, I don't even know. I don't know. You know, now I didn't make this a business, you know, I kept my things that I do for money, my house cleaning gigs and my deliveries and blah, blah, blah. So no judgment. I'm not saying that people don't create like a persona and all of that stuff in order to have a business. And I'm not here to judge any of that. But I'm saying for me, I have been in a process of deciding, how do I want to take what I know, the wisdom that I carry from life experiences, not from books, not from listening to videos. I have been in so many areas of life, and I'm sure people love to make assumptions or judge, you know, based on, I don't know, what maybe I look like or what they think my life experiences have been in. But I have purposely my whole life put myself in environments and situations that were very dark, where there was no love, because that's my mission. I'm here to be love in action, to be the hands and feet of God while I'm in a human body, not so much to talk about it. And communication has never been super easy for me. I have Mercury in Pisces. It's getting a little better, but when Neptune was on top of it, which was recently, because it's at the end of Pisces, it became especially difficult to form words. Oh yeah, Mercury retrograded over my Mercury. Anyway, wow, right? But I don't know. I love you guys. I would like to be on here more, but I am just working on emotional stability, working on, you know, stability in my daily life with my interactions with my children, with my parenting, because I got a little off kilter there for a while. And I'm okay with admitting that, you know. And I may seem like a closed book to some people, but I'm actually open. I would love to have a conversation. If somebody out here listening feels like I have done you wrong, have anything like that, let's dialogue. Let's actually have a conversation. But when, you know, I feel like several times I've attempted conversation and have been like shut down. And so it's hard not to make assumptions of what the other person's thinking when dialogue is refused. And to each their own. Nobody has to speak with me, nobody has to whatever, but the invitation's there, the door is open, and I'm always willing to hear what people have to say. I'm not in the business of walking around to cause pain and suffering. I'm in the business of bringing, you know, love and joy and the fruits of the Spirit into this world, and not to do the opposite. So with that, I'm sending you guys lots of love, and I wish you well. Bye.